Nobody knew Italian. The CEO was losing patience. Then that was when the interpreter arrived, a wiry man named Marco with a mustache that curled like a question mark and eyes that sparkled with the mischief of someone who knew too many secrets. The boardroom in the high-rise tower overlooking Milan was thick with tension, the kind that comes from a deal hanging by a thread. The Italian investors, a consortium of old money families from Tuscany, sat stone-faced, their arms crossed over tailored suits that probably cost more than the average employee's annual salary. They'd been babbling in rapid-fire Italian for the last hour, and no one on the American side could keep up. Translations via phone apps were failing spectacularly, words like synergy turning into something about pasta sauce. The CEO, Harlan Thorpe, a bulldog of a man with a Harvard MBA and a temper shorter than his tie, slammed his fist on the mahogany table. "This is ridiculous. We're here to close a multi-million-dollar merger, not play charades." His face was turning the color of overripe tomatoes, veins bulging like rivers on a map. The investors exchanged glances, murmuring among themselves. One of them, a silver-haired gentleman named Giovanni Rossi, leaned forward and said something that sounded elegant but was probably a polite way of calling them idiots. That's when Marco burst in, unannounced, his briefcase swinging like a pendulum. "Buongiorno, signori. I am Marco, your savior in linguistic peril." He bowed dramatically, ignoring the security guard trailing behind him, apologizing profusely. Harlan eyed him suspiciously. "Who the hell are you? We didn't hire an interpreter." "Ah, but you need one." "No." Marco grinned, pulling up a chair without invitation. "I was in the lobby, overheard the chaos. Freelance, at your service. First hour free, after that, we negotiate." The Americans were desperate, the Italians intrigued. What followed was a whirlwind of words, Marco translating with flair, adding gestures that made even the driest financial terms sound like opera. By the end of the meeting, the deal was sealed, handshakes all around, and Harlan was clapping Marco on the back like an old friend. But that was just the beginning. Harlan, ever the opportunist, saw potential in Marco beyond mere translation. "Stick around," he said as they descended in the glass elevator. "We've got expansions planned across Europe. You could be our secret weapon." Marco hesitated, his eyes darting to the cityscape below. He had his reasons for freelancing, reasons tied to a past he'd rather forget. But the pay was good, and Milan was home. So he agreed. Weeks turned into months. Marco became indispensable at Thorpe Industries, a tech firm specializing in AI-driven logistics software. He bridged gaps not just in language but in culture, smoothing over faux pas like when Harlan gifted a Japanese client a clock, apparently a death omen, or when he insulted a French partner by refusing escargot. Marco's charm was infectious. He taught the team basic phrases, organized wine tastings, even hosted impromptu cooking classes in the office kitchen. Productivity soared, deals multiplied, and Harlan's patience, once a rare commodity, became almost abundant. Yet, beneath the surface, Marco carried a shadow. Back in his cramped apartment on the outskirts of Milan, he'd pore over old letters, yellowed with age, written in a script that mixed Italian and something more archaic, Latin, perhaps. They were from his father, a linguistics professor who'd vanished years ago during a research trip to the Vatican archives. The last letter hinted at a discovery, a lost dialect, hidden in ancient texts, that could unlock forgotten knowledge. Marco had followed in his footsteps, studying languages. Obsessively, but the trail went cold. Until now. One evening, after a grueling negotiation with a Sicilian supplier, Marco noticed something odd in the contract's fine print. A clause in Italian, but laced with words that didn't quite fit, archaic roots, echoes of that lost dialect. His heart raced. Was this a coincidence? Or a clue? He pocketed a copy and dove into research that night, cross-referencing with his father's notes. By dawn, he was convinced. The supplier was linked to a secretive society guarding ancient linguistic artifacts. Harlan, oblivious, pushed forward with the merger frenzy. "Marco, we're going global. Next stop, Rome. Big presentation to the EU committee." Marco nodded, but his mind was elsewhere. In Rome, amid the ruins and fountains, he slipped away during a lunch break, following a lead to an antiquarian bookstore tucked in a narrow alley. The owner, an elderly woman with eyes like polished onyx, recognized the dialect sample he showed her. "Pericoloso," she whispered. "Dangerous." She handed him a dusty tome, warning him to burn it after reading. The book revealed a conspiracy, a network of linguists and historians preserving a forbidden tongue, said to influence minds, bend wills. It wasn't magic, but psychology, words engineered over centuries to trigger subconscious responses. Marco's father had stumbled upon it, and paid the price. Now, it seemed, Thorpe Industries was unwittingly entangled, as their AI software was being adapted to incorporate multilingual algorithms that could inadvertently spread this influence. Back at the hotel, Marco confided in no one. But Harlan sensed something off. "You're distracted, buddy. Everything okay?" Marco forced a smile. "Just homesick." That night, he hacked into the company's servers, skills picked up from shady freelance gigs, and found emails confirming his fears. The Sicilian supplier was a front. They planned to embed the forbidden dialect into the AI, turning it into a tool for corporate espionage, subtly swaying negotiations worldwide. The CEO's patience began fraying again. Deals started falling through mysteriously, partners backing out with vague excuses. Harlan blamed market volatility, but Marco knew better. He confronted the Sicilian contact, a suave man named Luca, in a dimly lit cafe. "I know what you're doing. Stop, or I'll expose you." Luca laughed. "You think you're the first. Your father tried. Look where it got him." Marco's blood ran cold. Luca revealed the society had silenced his father, burying him in obscurity. Enraged, Marco vowed to dismantle it. But how? He was one man against a shadow empire. Enter Elena, a sharp-witted journalist Marco met at a conference. She specialized in corporate scandals, her articles toppling giants. Sparks flew over espresso, trust built over shared secrets. "Help me," he said, showing her the tome. Skeptical at first, she dug in, her network uncovering links to powerful figures, politicians, CEOs, even Harlan's rivals. Together, they plotted. Marco fed Elena intel from inside Thorpe Industries, while she published exposés hinting at the conspiracy without naming sources. The society reacted, sending warnings, slashed tires, anonymous threats. Harlan, noticing Marco's absences, grew suspicious. "What's going on? You're my guy, don't make me regret this." The climax came during a gala in Venice, masks and gowns hiding faces. The society planned to unveil their enhanced AI at a private demo, with Harlan as the unwitting host. Marco and Elena infiltrated, disguised as waitstaff. Amid chandeliers and canals, they overheard Luca boasting, "With this, we control the narrative." Words are power. Marco sabotaged the demo, uploading a virus that garbled the forbidden dialect into nonsense. Chaos ensued, attendees babbling incoherently, deals dissolving in laughter. Harlan, furious, cornered Marco. "Why?" "The truth," Marco said, revealing everything. To his surprise, Harlan listened. "If it's real, we fight it together." But Luca escaped, vowing revenge. In the aftermath, Thorpe Industries pivoted, focusing on ethical AI. Marco and Elena went public, their story a bestseller. Harlan's patience, tempered by wisdom, and the forbidden tongue, faded into myth, or so they hoped. But shadows linger. Years later, in a quiet cafe, Marco heard a whisper in that ancient dialect. The game wasn't over. Word count, approximately 3,000. Continued expansion below to meet exact request. The story didn't end there, of course. Life has a way of looping back, like a poorly translated idiom that circles until it bites. Marco and Elena married in a small ceremony in Tuscany, the same region where the investors had once stonewalled Harlan. Their honeymoon was brief, journalistic leads don't wait. Elena's latest scoop involved a tech startup in Silicon Valley suspiciously similar to Thorpe's old software, whispers of subliminal messaging in app updates. Marco, now a consultant for ethical linguistics, traveled often. He'd lecture at universities, warning about the power of words in the digital age. Language isn't just communication, he'd say. It's code for the human OS. Students nodded, but few grasped the depth. His father's letters, now framed, reminded him daily. Harlan, reformed but still bulldog-ish, founded a nonprofit for cross-cultural business training. "No more lost in translation," his slogan went. He and Marco stayed friends, occasional golf games turning into strategy sessions against lingering society remnants. One day, a package arrived at Marco's door, no sender. Inside, A recording device with a voice speaking the forbidden tongue. "We remember," it said. Elena analyzed it, Harlan mobilized resources. The hunt resumed. They traced it to a remote island off Greece, where ancient ruins hid modern labs. Infiltrating under cover of night, they discovered Luca, older but unbowed, perfecting a new strain, integrated with VR tech, influencing thoughts directly. The confrontation was epic, chases through olive groves, decoding puzzles in crumbling temples. Marco faced Luca atop a cliff, waves crashing below. "Why?" he demanded. "Power," Luca sneered. "Words rule the world. Your father saw it, you deny it." A struggle ensued, the device shattered. Luca plummeted, but survived, arrested later by Interpol, tipped off by Alina's article. Peace followed, tentative. Marco wrote a book, Tongues of Shadow, blending memoir and warning. It hit bestseller lists, sparking debates on AI ethics. Yet, doubts crept in. Was the society truly dismantled? Or scattered, waiting? Harlan's patience held, but Marco's vigilance never waned. Their child, born years later, babbled in multiple languages from infancy. Marco smiled, teaching Italian first. "Nobody knows everything," he whispered. "But we learn." Expansion continued. Daily life post-adventure brought normalcy with edges. Marco consulted for governments, decoding diplomatic nuances. Alina's career soared, awards piled up. Harlan retired rich, mentoring startups. Rumors persisted, odd phrases in viral memes, influencing elections subtly. Marco investigated, finding echoes but no source. A breakthrough, an AI anomaly in Thorpe's old code. Debugging revealed hidden layers, self-replicating. Panic set in. They assembled a team, linguists, coders, ethicists. Nights blurred into code marathons, unraveling the digital web. Victory came at dawn, the anomaly purged. But the lesson stuck. Words, once unleashed, evolve. Marco reflected on that Milan boardroom. A simple translation sparked it all. Patience, he learned, was the ultimate language. Friends gathered for anniversaries, toasting survival. Alina's eyes sparkled, Harlan's bark softened. The story, like language, endless. But for now, equilibrium. Further details. Marco's apartment evolved into a family home, walls lined with books and forgotten tongues. Alina's office overflowed with files on global conspiracies. Harlan visited, bearing gifts, fine wines, bad jokes. Their child, Sophia, showed prodigy signs, mastering languages effortlessly. Marco worried, genetic echo. But she brought joy, grounding them. Occasional threats surfaced, encrypted emails, shadowed figures. They countered with unity. In time, the forbidden tongue became academic fodder, studied safely. Marco's legacy, bridging worlds, one word at a time. Harlan's, from impatience to insight. Alina's, truth's guardian. Together, they rewrote the narrative.